You are in the middle of an important conversation. Voices start to rise. The tension in the room thickens. You ask a simple, honest question. You are looking for an answer, a reaction, or just a sign of connection. Instead, he stops talking completely. He crosses his arms. He stares blankly at the wall or looks down at his phone. It feels like slamming full speed into a concrete wall. The silence in the room feels cold, deliberate, and deeply frustrating. You think he simply does not care. You think he is ignoring you on purpose to punish you or win the argument. But the truth is much stranger and more complex than that. That sudden, heavy silence is not a sign of indifference. It is a full-blown biological emergency response inside his body. To understand why this happens, we have to look deep inside the human nervous system. Psychologists and relationship researchers call this behavioral shutdown stonewalling. When emotional stress spikes during a conflict, the human brain struggles to differentiate between a verbal confrontation and a physical attack. To your primitive brain, a raised voice, a sharp tone, or an intense emotional demand triggers the exact same alarm as a wild predator in the wild. Is amygdala, the brain's central threat detector, fires rapidly. It triggers a physiological cascade known as emotional or physiological flooding. His heart rate spikes past 100 beats per minute within seconds. Stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol flood his bloodstream. His blood pressure shoots up, muscle tension grips his neck and shoulders. His body instinctively prepares for a physical fight or flight. When a person reaches this level of neural overload, something critical happens in the brain. The prefrontal cortex, the logical, advanced part of the brain responsible for language, problem solving, and empathy literally goes offline. The executive functions shut down to route our available blood flow and energy to biological survival. In that flooded stage, he is no longer capable of processing complex emotions, picking the right words, or forming articulate sentences. His brain faces a stark choice: explode in destructive anger or shut down completely to protect the system from breaking. The silence you experience is his body hitting the emergency brake. He isn't sitting there calculating how to win the argument. His nervous system is trying to keep him from completely losing control. Scientific studies show that men are biologically more susceptible to rapid physiological flooding during emotional confrontation. From an evolutionary standpoint, the male cardiovascular system takes longer to calm down once it is activated by acute stress. His blood pressure stays elevated for longer periods, and his nervous system remains hypervigilant. So when emotional intensity spikes, his body enters a state of sensory overload much faster and stays there longer. Shutting down becomes a desperate defensive mechanism to regain control over a body that feels like it is on fire. Now, here is the counterintuitive turn that changes everything about how you look at conflict. While silence is an attempt to stay safe and prevent a disaster, it actually inflicts massive psychological damage on the relationship if handled wrong. When it shuts down without explanation, your brain perceives that sudden withdrawal as a threat. Your brain registers the silent treatment as emotional abandonment. Your own nervous system panics. Your anxiety spikes, driving an urgent need to re-establish connection immediately, so you push harder. You demand an answer right now. You follow him into the next room. You raise your voice to break through his wall. That increased pressure causes his overloaded system to retreat even further into his shell. You both get trapped in a destructive pattern called the demon withdrawal loop. The harder one person pursues connection, the further the other person retreats into isolation. The silence that was originally meant to stop a fight ends up slowly destroying emotional trust over time. So how do you break this toxic cycle without sweeping important problems under the rug? You stop treating silence as a passive-aggressive weapon and start managing it as a biological state. First, learn to recognize the physical warning signs of emotional flooding before the brick wall goes up completely. Clenched jaws, shallow breathing, avoidance of eye contact, and short, clipped answers are signs that the biological alarm is ringing. Second, replace accidental stonewalling with a clear, communicated pause. There is a world of difference between shutting down blindly and requesting a structured timeout. Saying, "I am feeling overwhelmed right now, and I need 20 minutes to calm down so we can listen to you properly," changes the entire dynamic. It sends a critical message to your partner. I am not abandoning you. My nervous system just needs a moment to reset. A biological break must be at least 20 to 30 minutes long. It is the exact amount of time it takes for adrenaline to clear from the bloodstream and for the logical prefrontal cortex to come back online. During those 20 minutes, do not mentally rehearse your next argument or replay the fight in your head. Walk outside, practice deep breathing, splash cold water on your face, or listen to music to let your heart rate drop back to baseline. When you return to the conversation, your body is no longer operating in survival mode. You can finally hear each other with empathy, clarity, and genuine connection. Look at how you handle tension in your relationship today. When things get heated, are you using silence to punish, or are you letting biological overload run the show? Understanding the hidden science behind shutting down allows you to build a bridge where a wall used to be.